Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Matthew Hall, and I am the Director of Marketing Admissions at the Australian International School. Welcome to tonight's webinar, where we feature our school leadership from across our 3 sub-schools. And I'm absolutely looking forward to this evening interviewing a very dear friend of mine and our recently appointed Head of Early Years, Eromie Dassanayake. Welcome, Eromie.
Thank you, Matt. And you said my name perfectly. Well done.
For the audience, I get a little nervous about Eromie's delightful Sri Lankan surname, which I've been pronouncing incorrectly now for 2 years out loud. So she's corrected me lovely. But before we get started tonight, Eromie, before we go on and share about what your view is for the early years going forward and your own passions, I would like to just us to spend a little moment. And when we advertise these, we go out to 3 different social media platforms, and it's been a wonderful delight to see the outpouring of congratulations to you for the appointment of your new position. I think, we got over 400 likes, which isn't a popularity thing, but it's a huge achievement. How do you feel about that?
As always, humbled that I have so many beautiful friends and families who have taught for 22 years. Yeah. And I think that's the beauty when you teach internationally and you keep those relationships going and you keep in contact with people. They celebrate with you and they're always there for you. So I think that's really, really great to know.
Yeah, and I know you are incredibly humble, which is why you're so well loved and respected. And I think I wrote a comment about that. It's a lot to do with your leadership style. Over many years, you've been a leader alongside people. And I just thought it was such a wonderful acknowledgement for yourself and for your family to feel proud as punch, I hope.
Yes, I agree, because it was my son who said, "Mom, have you seen that you have got so many likes?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's nice to know." So being a proud product of AIS, he was on the AIS networking, social media networking, and he was like, yeah. So it was good to celebrate with my family and a bit proud. I had a little proud moment to say, "Oh, good. I have so many people who love me."
Thane would have loved that. For the audience, Thane went to our school through all of his secondary school, didn't he, your son? Was he all of it secondary?
Yeah, from year 6 to year 12.
Well, year 6 to year 12. So it's lovely that his son got to see. I'm going to go to our very first slide that we've got up here. And we're going to talk through some different slides tonight. And Eromie's going to explain some different things. But you're going to see some themes that run beautifully through. Anything that Eromie does, she does very well. And she's got a nice lineup tonight. But there's a strong theme here of these 3 words: belonging, being, becoming. Can you talk us through this, Eromie?
Sure, Matt. I think as a human being, you first need to have a sense of belonging. Being is really enjoying the moment, being present, and then the becoming happens. So let me start, I think, with who I am, because Matt always tells me, "You never tell us who you are." So I know most of you know, but I'll just say a few things that you might not know about me. So I was born in Sri Lanka, and I grew up in a tea estate or a tea plantation with my 2 siblings. My childhood memories are filled with never-ending play experiences, especially cricket, because I had 2 brothers who were 6 years older than me, and all that I did is play cricket with them. And Sri Lanka is a nation who loves cricket, so grew up playing cricket and exploring the tea estate. And I think our house was where all our family, like the extended family, would gather. All our relations would come to the tea estate because they loved spending time with my mom, dad, and us. And a very strong childhood memory is my mom's wonderful cooking. She's a good cook. So again, the house was always filled with her baking stuff, this aromas of her baking and cooking. And so I lost my dad at a very young age, which had a huge impact on my life. Life without dad was challenging, but I'm so grateful to my mom for being that strong woman, for always giving me the strength and confidence to move forward in life. And I got married at a young age. I got married when I was 21. And my husband, Indika, is the one who encouraged me continuously to study. He is the one who would say, no, you need to do your degree, you need to do your master. So he would always be that person who would push me. And I always have to say, I was always passionate about working with young children. I felt an incredible sense of purpose in doing so. So that's a little bit about me.
I think that's absolutely delightful, Romy. And I think it, for all of us listening on, it sounds, if anyone's been to Sri Lanka and the tea plantations and the beautiful country that you do come from, such a range of terrains and really exciting. I think we're all probably sitting there quite jealous. We could have stories about your upbringing, I think, all day long. When you put this together, you created this next slide with these 4 wonderful buildings. If you could talk us through why you've chosen them and why they're significant to you.
Definitely, Matt. So the first building is the school that I studied, St. Thomas's Girls' School, Matale in Sri Lanka, a convent school. So you could see that there's a lot of discipline, but then again, I learned all the skills and knowledge from that school. So always grateful to the first school that I studied in, and I worked as a relief staff there. So that's really where I started my teaching journey. And the second building or the school is Royal Institute International School in Sri Lanka, the first school that I worked after I qualified as a teacher. And the only school that I worked, because then, when my son was 4 years old, my husband got a posting to Jakarta. So the third building is the Australian International School in Jakarta, where I really understood what international school education is all about. And I can relate to lots of people who are traveling for the first time, leaving their motherland, leaving their relations, really leaving everything that's so close to their heart, because I did that with a child. And the fourth school is the American International School in Dhaka. This is where I learned all about the Reggio Emilia philosophy, the primary years program, and what inquiry is all about. So I spent 5 beautiful years in Dhaka and I taught in that school. So these 4 buildings, like I said, I think I gravitate towards schools. Schools is the place that I feel most comfortable with. And I know Matthew said, are you into architecture? But no, these are the beautiful schools that I taught in.
I think it's really important for people to understand where you've come from, because it's where we come from that like you say, it influences our values, our outlook. Like you wonderfully said, then you started on the Rio Meggio journey, which was at the American, and you've obviously, we're going to hear a little more about where that sits with you. After these 4 lovely buildings, we go on to this one that I'm particularly proud of, and I'm sure you are too. It's quite a wow moment, isn't it? But let's start with belonging, and belonging at the Australian National School for you.
That's why it has its own slide, a
Yeah.
very special place for me, because knowing where and with whom you belong is really integral to human existence. I remember the first day I stepped foot at the Australian International School. It was the 1st of March in 2014. I was looking for the best school for my son because we moved from Dhaka. My husband got posted to Singapore, and we were looking for the best school. I had visited many schools in Singapore. And I remember Mr. Andre Casson, who was the secondary principal at that time, meeting me at the gate. And we toured the school for over 1.5 hours. And what I realized is that it was that special feel, the way people greeted each other, the way people asked you about, like, they took genuine interest to speak to Thane and especially to Thane. And they spoke to me, but they really took a genuine interest to speak to Thane, to ask him about his journey. And that's when I made up my mind, this is the school that I want my son to study. So I chose the Australian International School first as a parent. And then I joined the Earliest Center. It was called the Earliest Center in 2014 as an assistant teacher. Because I came at a very different time, not at the beginning of a calendar year. And I was happy to be an assistant teacher. Though I had taught internationally, though I was qualified, it gave me the time to really work on my higher studies. So I continued on my master's. I got my master's degree during this time. And so from a teaching assistant, I moved to a teacher, a multi-classroom leader, assistant head, the deputy head, and now I'm the head of early years. So it took me 7.5 years. It's a beautiful journey that I celebrate. And I am so grateful for the people who made this happen and who believed in me. I remember every time I got a promotion, it would be Andre who comes to me and he'll say, I know you can do it. I have I'm so confident in you, Eromie, you can do it. So I'm like, okay, if you say so, I'm sure I can do it. And of course, Matt, you know Dr. Grogan. He pushes everyone to do their PhD. So he's already
Yeah.
spoken to me about that. He's like, when are you doing your PhD, Romy? So again, a person who encourages you to be a lifelong learner. So again, grateful to Dr. Grogan and Adam Patterson. He challenges me the whole time, Matt. He challenges me. Every time I say, it's a little hard or it's too difficult, he's like, come on, you can do this. Think out of the box, think differently. So he always challenges me. And Rachel Symes, ever so grateful to that lady for always teaching me. She has never kept anything away. She's like, come on, let's do this together. Presenting in conferences, even making a spreadsheet, the two of us will crack it together. And sometimes we're like, what are we doing? We have no idea. But really pushing me to be the best version of myself. So always grateful to those people who are around me, and especially thankful to my tribe, our teachers, our team, for believing me and encouraging me, because we lead together. I will lead. I'm not the person who would lead from front. We lead together, and I'm happy to step back and listen to people, but at times make the decision to lead from front as well.
Well, Eromie, I was going to try and interrupt, but I thought no,
Sorry.
better off, because it is what you just did then outlines why you are so close to everyone's heart. You, Eromie, you know, the likes and all that. It's not about the social media. What it is, it's about people identifying with your leadership style. I think I wrote on the Facebook post, I wrote for people to come along and see and hear from you tonight, because exactly like you just said, you are loved and endeared to many because you lead beside, and I think that is such an awesome leadership strategy. And I think just for other people watching on with leadership ambition, Eromie's outlined two beautiful things. One, she's an incredibly educated lady. So I'd say to anyone, get educated. But two, be patient with your leadership journey. And I think that you showed great patience. You're probably the high. Well, actually, there probably are other people who are teaching assistants at our school who have got masters. But at that point, you were our highest quality teaching assistant, and you know every step, don't you, of the early years. And that's what's wonderful. So when we're saying Eromie's newly appointed, what you'll listen to tonight when you hear from her is it's not a new head of the early years. Eromie has contributed to this beautiful building over many years. Like she said, 2004. I want to go on to this next slide here, because I think from here on you can start to speak with great passion around these three words.
Thank you, Matt. Yes, love, care, and respect. When you have babies as young as 2 months, we had to really rethink our philosophy, our earliest philosophy. These are the three beautiful words Adam and Rachel came up with: love, care, and respect. If we look at the Reggio Emilia philosophy or the RAI philosophy, or if we look at the primary years program or the EYLF, the early years learning framework, these are the three words that come up. Because everything that we do, we need to do with love. The children that we take care of, we really need to take care of them. And this is the promise that we make parents. We promise to love your children, take care of your children, and respect your children. Because we see children as people with rights, children with rights and not needs. So we see children as individuals with rights and not needs. I'm saying that again because people always, and this is a simple example I'm going to give you, where people just take a tissue and wipe a child's nose, or grab their bottle and try to open the lid. You never seek permission. If I do that to you, Matt, you would like, what are you doing? So treat children in the same way you need to be treated. So respect them. So, because we believe children are co constructors of their own learning, we want the children to have a voice, choice, and ownership because it's their learning journey. And we
Yes.
as a school have high expectations for our learners. And it's the same for our teachers. It's not only for our learners, it's the same. We have high expectations for our teaching staff and our staff here. So, what because we say that there are 100 different ways that we see children. We know that children have 100 languages and more, and multiple ways of seeing and ways of being. So if there are 100 different images of a child, how do we differentiate our curriculum? And that's the important question we need to ask ourselves. How do we differentiate the way we teach, and how do we make sure that every child it achieves their highest potential? So the love, care, and respect applies for all members in our community, because we thrive when we have those respectful relationships. So we really need to invest in building those respectful relationships. So
I
three
think that
simple words.
you've touched on a couple of things there, Romy. I'm going to jump next. You do it beautifully, and I think to anyone who's been to the early years in our school, you are first of all, like you just outlined. Then they go from the very youngest, so they're can be very young up to 5 years old before they go on to prep up at 6. But it's a huge amount of trust that a parent puts in you, isn't it? And we all know you are a new mum, or even if you're not a new mum, or dad for that matter, there's an anxiety, isn't there? There's an anxiety about leaving your young one there. So it's wonderful that you go into these. I'm interrupted you. Carry on.
No, and you made a great point, Matt, because I think as a new mom or a dad, when you don't have a strong relationship with the teacher, that's when
Mm.
problems arise. So really we invest a lot of time. If it's a new family, right now we have virtual meetings with them before they arrive to our school. And once they arrive, we make sure that we tell them what's going to happen. And we always tell the parents, just don't run away. Tell your child, I'm going to leave you with Mr. Matt, and I will be back at 3 o'clock, because that's the trust. That's what they need to see. The way you model it, I trust in this person, I'm going to leave you with this person. The minute you do that, I mean, some children, because it's that interbrain connection, children need time to form those connections with
Yeah.
a new adult. But the minute they know mommy and daddy, they're okay with me being with this adult, then they change their whole way of thinking. But if mommy and daddy, of course, we are all anxious. I remember crying outside the play nursery when I left my son. That's been a mom, that's been a dad. But then again, if you say, hey, don't worry, I'll be back to get you, then then the child knows, oh, okay, that's because they always trust that you'll be back at this time. And when it becomes a routine, then they believe in the whole system. But we need to make sure we have a proper routine in place.
You're touching on so many things that I would love to go a little deeper on. We had the 3 words, so we've got the love, care, respect, but let's go back to it. And this carries on. The next part, first one we did was belonging. Now we've got the being. Can you talk us through this wonderful slide and these delightful educators and their flags we've got here?
Sure. I love this picture, Matt. You must have seen it in my social media post as well. So, being the year of 2021 is the year of being. It's about the here and now, because year 2021 has really helped us dig deeper into the here and now in our lives. And as a school, I think we have really focused on the importance of being. We are all affected by the pandemic. There's no way to say that we are all doing fine. But as a school, we have focused on finding solutions and making sure that we overcome the challenges of uncertainty. So this is our beautiful early years leadership team. And there's one thing that comes to mind, a little quote that I need to share when I see this picture. When we listen and celebrate what is both common and different, we become wiser, more inclusive, and better organized. So the flags represent where they are from, and we have a beautiful team that is from all around the world. So right in the middle is Mr. James Holmes. He's a wonderful deputy head, and surrounding him are our MCLs or multi-classroom leaders because our student population represents over 50 different nationalities. So, as a school, we thrive from the rich knowledge that our teachers contribute from their own cultures and backgrounds. But the beauty of it is we are all linked back by the early years learning framework, by the primary years program, the Reggio philosophy, and the RAI, the resources for infant care educators. So we know what's at the core, we know our curriculum, and those beautiful cultural representations make it more rich. Like when I talk about the RAI philosophy, the resources for infant care educators, I didn't know about it till I came to the Australian International School. And a beautiful gift from all our teachers from New Zealand. So I know it's a proud moment for you, Matt, hearing that, because it is how. Sorry.
It absolutely is. I think what's wonderful there is you just touched on a couple of things. I know we are the Australian International School without a doubt, and it's got the word Australian there. But you already see a collective group of educators there from a range of different countries, and then what really I love what you just said then is we gain from each of them. That quote that you just said then was absolutely beautiful. Everyone comes from their different countries. They're all trained in different places. They've been teaching in different settings and educator systems. Yet they've all come here, and that's your leadership team with all this experience and all this learning and this collective wisdom that you've brought together. Just like your collective wisdom from your training in Sri Lanka, then your master's, and then one day it will be your PhD, I'm sure. It makes for a wonderful leadership team that you have there. And I think it's amazing, really.
Yeah, so proud to be working with these amazing leaders because they teach me something new every day. And like I said, um, we meet every Thursday, Matt, for our multi-classroom leaders meeting. And it's the 1.5 hours I really enjoy because I hear what's happening in each year level, and then we share ideas. In the early years, and I think in the Australian school, there's nothing that calls it's mine, it's ours. This is what we do, this is ours. And we share even the planning, we share resources, and it's a beautiful way we do that. And I'm incredibly proud because these are the people who make it happen. Our multi classroom leaders make it happen. So my job is easy, I think. I look good because of such people.
I think, yeah, I don't think that, yeah, again, that's your very modest view on that. I think what you demonstrate to all of us and myself when I look at and I follow you too, Eromie, is the incredible power of empowering others and leading by the side. And if I could say, keep coming back to that a little bit, it is, I think, the most powerful type of leadership is leading beside. And then what you beautifully do, and I've spoken to several of these leaders, we have other webinars, is that you promote others. And you when you're doing that, you're always beside them, growing them. And I want to go into this next slide because I think that sort of adds even more to this. You build beautiful, trusting relationships, but can you talk with our audience how you tie this all together?
Beautiful. I think, Matt, I'll give everybody a few seconds to just read the statement.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is the statement that was written by all the educators currently who is in the early years. So we talk about trusting relationships, and it was really important to have a common understanding around our thinking. So we posed 4 questions. As a leadership team, we came together and we had 4 questions. We had 4 research questions. What do you focus on relation? Sorry, why do we focus on relationships? So the why, because we always go to the why at the center. What are we doing to build relationships? How are we building relationships that impact our children's learning? Who are we building relationships with? This was a mammoth task. Like I mentioned to you during our little chat, it took us 5 months to come up with this statement because everybody had a voice in it. And I have a huge paper trail. People would first put in their words when you hear the word relationship. What does it mean to you? What does it feel like when you're having a really good relationship? What are the words that you hear? when you have a very trusting relationship? What are the questions you can ask? So there was this massive paper trail that like I said, I'm going to frame it one day.
Yeah.
Because there were so many beautiful wanderings, beautiful opinions, questions around it. And after 5 months, like I said, every member of our staff had a say in it. Because we took it to collaborative planning meetings, we took it to our MCL, the multi classroom teacher meetings, we took it to our specialist meetings to make sure that we had the right wording. And this is what we came up with. Because I think as a school, everyone, and as a community, everyone relies on secure, trusting, and respectful relationships, as it promotes well being, self esteem, and a strong sense of identity. So, having supportive relationships with each other really enables the children to develop their confidence and their ability to learn new things, express their ideas, and walk through the and work and really work through the differences with others and take calculated risks. Because when you know that you have a that trust in your ability, like I said, I had leaders who trusted in my ability, so I was able to take that risk, I was able to move forward. In the same way, our teachers make sure that they build that environment where children are able to take those risks. Conflict is good. I like when a classroom is noisy because they are working through their issues, they're working through their problems, but in a very respectful way. We always say, like I said, you always need to have a respectful relationship. So,
I, I
yeah,
think what we've got there beautifully is, and you're absolutely right. What you've done, and like I just said at the start, for Eromie, while she's newly appointed as the head of early years, she's been part of the journey of creating the wonderful building that we're in and all of the philosophy. But this is such an excellent idea because we do have this wonderful diversity, but then it focuses the diversity on one agreed understanding from all your staff. They've bought into it. When you're over there, it is an amazing place. There is something very special, and I think it's exactly the work that you, Rachel, and Adam did around creating these sort of statements that has helped bind the glue of everyone, from people who are working in the kitchen to people who are our bus drivers, our bus nannies, our everybody that's assisted in our school, our librarians, our office staff. Everyone's on the same page. I think that's terrific. Will you revisit it? Will it be reviewed? Like, what's the process now? You've got it now, but
yeah.
what would you do in the future with this?
Every year, Matt, like with our early years learning philosophy, we revisit it every year. Because if we don't have new staff next year, we are very fortunate that everybody is staying. I mean, that's really great news. But every year we look at a new cohort of children. Maybe we need to change something different. We need to act words. We need to take words. So again, we will revisit it around February or so, when the teachers are more settled, when they know their children better, and we'll
Yes.
have a look at this. Because we always say that we work in partnership with our parents. We always talk about, in the early years, we believe that parents hold more knowledge about their child, because that cultural value and beliefs that the families have, they have their own family rituals, right? That's really important to know. And every year our families change. We get families from different countries. So knowing what relationships mean to them really solidifies our statement.
I think there's another reason why you've had such a wonderful, stable staff too. I don't think anyone wants to leave. I think everyone thinks that they know what they've found. So we've done being. Let's go on to our second word in this little trilogy, becoming. Lovely picture too. I love that. There's nothing. Your guys, it's the easiest place to go around taking photographs. They're gorgeous in our little school uniform.
They are, and this, I really did seek the permission of the parent, because
Yes.
little the little girl who is in the picture started in infant care and now she's in P4. So it's a very special picture. So yeah, long story, but that's for another day.
Yeah.
So the year 2022 is the year of becoming. As a school, this is our strategic plan. 2022 is the year of becoming. So the developmental plan needs to be done now and not in 2022. Because like I said, this is the stuff that continuing to be in our school in the next year. So how do we, I always see that people say, how do we prepare children for school? But my thing is, how do we prepare the school for children? And it's not children being prepared for school. So it's the time for us to take a good look at our own practices and continue to do the best, because we are the best and we want to keep doing the best for our children. So it's really important to shift that mindset. Children are school ready. It's more of, is the school ready for the children? So then we really looked at how we can do that. So in our next slide, Matt, I will be talking about a few things that we will be talking. I mean, we will be really focusing on.
Let's have a look. Let's have a look at these. Right.
Yeah. So as a sub school, we really focused on 5 areas that we would like to further develop. It's not that it's not happening, but really further develop. So culture of care, we talk about it the whole time. Creating a culture where every child feels safe and the adults are responsible for the safeguarding of all children. We take this really seriously.
Yep.
So, safeguarding is part of our curriculum. We teach protective behaviors to children as young as 18 months and for them to have a knowledge of what protective behaviors are. So, all our educators go through the safeguarding training every year, and we are committed to be the guardians of childhood. This is our responsibility. And we have beautiful conversations with our teachers. What is safeguarding? What do you see as a safeguarding concern? Because we need to be knowledgeable and really make sure that our children are protected. The second one is very close to my heart, like I said, international mindedness. We see international mindedness as understanding, respecting, and valuing different cultures and embracing diversity. So, we as a team had a close look at the educational resources that we ordered, and we included dolls from all the countries, books, puzzles, games that represent our community. It was a beautiful bulk order that we did, Matt. I think our teachers are the most happiest right now because they got all the things that they ordered. That's the beauty of our school. If you put in an order, you get what you want. And having those new resources really enhances the way we teach. And another thing that we do to build this international mindedness is we invite our parents to connect to us virtually by reading books from different languages, sharing their favorite food from their different cultures. So it's a really good way to connect families, and it's a nice way that the families network with each other as well. And these are all shared through Story Park, Matt, because we have this beautiful platform where we report to parents. And the grandparents are involved. Even grandparents jump online and they read a book in German or in French or in Swiss. So it's a beautiful platform where we can bring families together. And you might be, if you come into the early years, Matt, you'll be greeted as not hello, Kiora. Is that right, Matt? Kiora? Yes.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So as a team, we are learning to greet each other in their mother tongue. And the children are like, whenever I say hola, they look at me and like, oh, you're learning, Miss Eromie. I'm like, yes. And you need to say Ayubowan next time you see me. So it's a beautiful way. I feel, Matt, when you hear your own mother tongue and when people make an effort to really say hello in your mother tongue, I think that's very special. And I feel that this creates a great sense of belonging and respect for all cultures. So that's international mindedness and self regulation. I think Miss Alicia did a wonderful webinar on self regulation, but I'll touch a few points of how we are moving forward. So, the earliest team has embarked on a journey in understanding the importance of self regulation, because effective self regulation requires learning and recognizing and responding to stressors. We're all stressed, but how do you really regulate your stresses? So this year we dedicated to grow the team's professional capital around self-regulation. So we have witnessed that it's hard to make any rational decision when you're angry or frustrated. So like I said, Matt, when I'm angry, I'm really quiet. So James and the team knows it. When I'm not smiling or when I'm quiet, that Eromie is a bit stressed. What can we do? A cup of tea works normally. So knowing each other, knowing how to reduce each other's stress is important. And that's what we then take to our classrooms. Understanding children. What do we do when they are stressed? Every child doesn't need to meditate when they are stressed. Some children need to run. Some children need to learn to loud music, or some children just need to go on the swings. So knowing how to regulate each other's stress is really important. So, and it's the same language you can hear from infant care to people. So you'll say, we are co-regulating, we are finding our soft eyes. Which domain is your stress coming from? So you hear the same language, and then it's easier to relate. And there's another beautiful program called Prelit. So we are focusing on creating a language-rich learning environment. So we have trained our first batch of teachers as we see ourselves as lifelong learners. So Prelit is a program. It's a skill-based early literacy program for children. It is designed to really complement the play-based learning environment and provides our early childhood educators the tools that is necessary to teach pre-literacy skills and concepts in a fun and engaging way. It's just it's like reading a book, but what do you really look at? Are you looking for the punctuation marks? Are you looking at the pictures? Are you looking at who the author is? So really those pre-reading skills and knowing your what is phonological awareness. How do you make it? How do you teach children in a fun way? Children don't need to sit on a carpet for 20 minutes. It happens through play. And STEAM. Uh, and being an inquiry-based school, I think it's really important to have the science, technology, engineering, and art and mathematics at the center when we are doing inquiry, because children construct knowledge by building on their prior knowledge and experiences. So inquiry is a way of being, and it's really important to have those dispositions like communication, collaboration, self-management, thinking, and dispositions like curiosity and persistence, not to stop when you find a problem. How do you work your way through? So that's what we teach through STEAM. So those are a few things that we are really focused, and all this is from the teachers and the children, because we say we co-construct our curriculum in the same way. We need them to be the voice. What do you need to know? And they said we need b-boards. So we got new b-boards, we got new equipment like Lego. And I have to say again, Mr. James is really eager to start this whole Lego club and do stuff. So it's really looking at the needs of the children.
Oh my goodness, I've got about a million things I'd like to talk about. Now, I love the way you beautifully said, we've just got a few things we're working on. And again, it's not that you're building on some of these things. These are five very well-planned, distinct ideas that you're going to work on. We did have a wonderful webinar with Alicia about self-regulation, and we talked about the slide that you've got there. Dr. Stuart Shankler is a leader who actually, am I right in saying, has been working directly? So Dr. Shankler has actually been working with the staff. Is that right?
That's absolutely right, Matt, because he's created videos for our earlier staff, especially during our professional development days. So we have 3 videos with him where we posted questions. We told him scenarios that we are facing right now, and then he really tailored it to make sure that, because he is in Canada and we are in Singapore, so certain things are different. So he's working directly with our staff, and he will continue to work in next year as well.
I thought it was such a terrific self-regulation. You're right, and the adults that are on here, there's a lot of adults that struggle with self-regulation, right? Isn't there? I giggled with Alicia at the same time. I thought, God, I think I could do with some of this advice, but it was. She was blown away by it, because she said it really changed the way she looked at children and their behaviour, and stopped it being understanding how they can regulate themselves, their frustrations. And she said it had an overwhelming, and all the stuff, because it's all your TAs, all the teachers are trained in it.
That's right.
She saw a real lowering, a calming in the playground, because everyone was on the same page. Is that how you felt it?
Definitely, Matt. I think when Rachel and I did it, we did the course first.
Right.
It just changed. It shifted the way we looked at issues, we looked at problems. We were like, okay, am I calm enough to deal with this now? Or do I need a break?
Right.
Because it's that beautiful balance, right? Your energy and your stress. How do you balance your energy and your stress?
Mm.
Because what happens is when you're stressed, you go to your red brain or to your brown brain. You're really not thinking
Yeah.
because you're not breathing. So, really, when we say, everybody says breathe, because there's a reason. You need oxygen, you need to calm yourself down before you make those decisions. So you might see me breathing and doing my little exercises, because and that's what we teach the children. Let's breathe. Or do you want to run? Maybe that's how you really want to. Some people regulate when they run, or some people would regulate when they dance. So there are different ways you can regulate yourself. But really, it was a huge shift, like you say, Matt,
Mm.
especially in the way we even understood each other. I see that you're stressed. What can I do? Rather than, oh, you're stressed. Please get over it. You change that whole
Yeah.
way you see it. Yeah. What can I do? Do you need a minute? Do you need a cup of tea? Do you need to go for a walk? So that was something very special.
Yeah, well, I think it was wonderful. She was so passionate about it, and she spoke beautifully, like you said, explained about the different brains, and then spoke about how adults and all the different ones. What was also wonderful is we did another webinar recently with Jacinda Matheson, who's head of year one in the elementary, and it was lovely to hear her also. So the theme of self-regulation goes from early years. The children go all the way through early years. They go up to prep, into year one. She's taking that self-regulation, so they're hearing these same themes. I think the children are going to be so better equipped by the time they are adults. Like I joked about, is some adults could do with it, because we didn't have any sort of help like this, did we, when we were children? So I think it's going to
Yes,
really help our children in the long term.
that's right. Yeah,
I
totally
think
agree. It will help them.
now, one thing, you've got the beautiful international mindedness, and I know it's not one day of a year, but at the end of last term, we have our ice day, and it's not about freezing cold water, but I'll let you talk about how the early years embrace this idea around ice and what it means.
Yeah, so the International Cultural Experience Day, though it's celebrated one day of the year, I think in the early years we celebrate it every day.
Mm.
But it gives the children that opportunity to dress in a culture that they choose to. Like I was dressed in the Jamaican culture. I had a beautiful outfit on because I love the Jamaican culture. So in the same way, everybody was dressed in different cultures. So it's more, it's beyond the flags and the food, I would say, Matt.
Yeah.
It's really understanding that you come from a different culture. At home, you speak a different language. There are different beliefs and values. But I want to get to know you more. Can you share that with us? And that's the
Mm.
beauty in the earliest. So we had books from different cultures. Of course, we have the flags, but it's beyond that. It's
Yeah.
beyond that flags and the food. It's more of understanding and respecting your culture and being knowledgeable of each other's cultures. And not saying, like when you're in a school like the Australian International School, when you are representing over 50 different nationalities, as teachers, we should take the time to know each other, to know each other's cultures. And it's a beautiful way. Even the parents, I think I saw so many parents who had dressed up, which really was very special. So, and I think it's when you really learn to respect diversity and really be that international minded person, be a global citizen. And like I told you, Matt, I'm ever grateful to this school because Thane was here. My son was here for 6 years, 7 years. And that's the gift that the school has given him, to be that global citizen, to go anywhere, to fit into any culture, to be who he is, but not losing his own identity. He has that solid foundation of who he is, but enjoying every culture and being respectful. So that's something we want every child to have when they finish an AIS education. And that's something most schools don't offer.
I think that's a wonderful note that you've got there. And just for the audience, we feature Thane in our new up and coming prospectus. So we've got this beautiful young scientist studying down in Melbourne. I think it's delightful, Romy. What you said then is several wonderful things. and like I referred to at the start, we are the Australian international school, but we're a truly international school, and you're taking that internationalism, and it's from our teachers to our children to celebrate it, because just like these three words, it gives children a sense of belonging when they know that their culture is valued and understood. And you just said it, then the parents also feel like they belong too. That's so important, isn't it?
It is. And like I said, Matt, when I moved to Jakarta 14 years ago, I was looking for that sense of belonging because I was in a foreign country.
Yeah.
I didn't have friends there. I didn't have my family. I was with this young child. And then that's when I realized that you need to have a strong sense of identity, and then that helps you build that sense of belonging. Not being afraid to talk about who you are and where you come from. And again, to share that with others, inviting friends over to your house to have a meal, have a Sri Lankan meal. This is what we cook with, this is what we do. I think that's important. And that's the beauty. Right now we can't do it, but our staff rooms used to be filled with goodies from different countries. And that builds, because food brings people together. Food really does bring people, because then you start talking to each other, you talk about the recipes, you talk about the ingredients. And I think that's a beautiful way to bring people together. It's really important.
I think that you're right there. It's an interesting one, isn't it? It can seem food, there's the sense of food because it's conversation, it's around, if I was to bring certain things out that I know New Zealanders would instantly go recognise that's New Zealand, that's the culture, we would joke about it, it's the sense of we know that's special to our place. I think it does have a very warm place. I like the way you say that, and unfortunately, I just said all the audience that is listening, and I should have said this at the very start, I'm sure you better get on board though. If you do have any questions, in a minute, we're going to stop in a minute, we'll give a couple more minutes. We're going to, any questions that you've got, Eromie, you can type into the chat bar. So it is interactive. We just do the type in just because it's a little bit easier for us to coordinate the questions, and we can have 10 minutes. You can ask her literally anything about her past journey or what she sees for the future. So feel free you can type now, and we're in about 5 minutes, we'll go into it. Eromie, the other one I wanted to get onto then, and you did just say that, you paused on it, the pre-lit. I know you touched on it. It started, if I'm not wrong, our school's direction with our increased focus on literacy started on when we were in prep and they were looking at the pre-phonics. Am I right that the pre-lit is the step before the pre-phonics, or is it the same? Can you just correct me and enlighten the audience?
It is a step before, Matt.
Right.
Like we said, because we are from all around the world, the way we teach language could be different. So we really wanted a program that educated our teachers to teach pre-literacy skills. Because we want to have a very good communicative environment. We want our children to be immerse themselves in a rich environment where literacy is in the background the whole time. So that's the reason we embarked on this journey. And I did the training because I wanted to know what pre-lit was. And again, it's really understanding how to teach literacy and literacy to young learners, young children, because it's a skill base, and knowing the skills is important, and knowing how to teach it in a play-based learning environment and not taking the play away is really important. That's the reason we choose pre-lit. So initial lit is what happens in prep. And as you know, and I'm sure there was a webinar with Ange O'Connor where she spoke about how all children are reading and how they are enjoying the program. And that's the reason that really we thought that we really need to invest in this program.
I like you touched on a couple of things there, because it's one thing that, and Rachel Symes is watching too, so she'll be jumping up and down, is that we don't have formal lessons in literature. It's not what we're about. It's learning through play. It's just making sure that our teachers are specialists. And you're right there, Eromie. I do have a wonderful, I'm very blessed to be able to talk to all you experts. But we had a wonderful webinar on that Angela did in prep about this, and it's a research proven method for teaching reading. And she said, I'll say to the parents, this is the one proof point that I would say to parents is, in the years gone by in prep, they would have about 30 to 40 students who, by the end of the year, were identified as needing a bit of extra support, right? So it's 30 or 40 children that we just need to do some support. In the 1 year of putting it in place, they're down to 10. Right, so that instantly tells you that it's made such a impact there, and it's lovely. And the teachers will love being the experts too, won't they?
Definitely. And I think it gives you the knowledge and the courage to do something different as well.
Yeah, I think that's terrific. And lastly, for those of you who don't know, James is the deputy principal of the early years, a wonderful man, a very proud father of. How old is their daughter? Is she there? She's not there yet, is she, or is she?
Son will be 1 on Saturday. Yes.
1 on Saturday. Sorry,
will be 1 on Saturday. Yep, and he's going to join us very soon.
Imagine. Well, the reason I say that is James will be loving the Lego. I'll be down there playing with the Lego. That's why he's pushing the STEM and the Lego. He'll be. I can imagine James surrounded, like he gets mobbed with the children all around him, with the boys and girls playing with the Lego and indulging in that. So that's the STEM. What do they stand for? Sorry, and this is just me being a little bit ignorant. It stands for letters, doesn't it? It stands for words.
That's right. So we'll start with the S. So science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics. So So it was STEM before without the A for art, but then it changed into STEAM because art plays a really important role in every child's development.
The creativity, isn't it? And it's all creative, all technology, and that'll be, like we say again, it's not going to be a lesson called STEM. It's not going to be a place where they go and do STEM. That's not the way we operate. It'll be part of every lesson, every playtime and things like that. I look forward to watching how you integrate it, and James enjoying the Lego, which I'll be interested to see which sets he bought. I think we'll pause there, Eromie, and what we'll do, because we've got 10 minutes left, if the audience has got any questions that they would like to ask her or anything they want to know a little bit more about, I'm sure, just for me sitting there, I watch you with great admiration, Eromie, and I have with all of your staff, is you're such experts. And there's so much learning. There can be predecessed ideas of thinking of what the kindergarten years, these are the same years as what we've got, what other people might know as the kindergarten, it's the same as our early years. What goes on, but listening to you as educators is delightful, and it must give parents the greatest sense of it's the right place for their child to be, right? It's the best place for them to be.
It is the best place. Yeah.
If anyone's got any questions, please feel free. The reason I'm not seeing this, Eromie, and I've done this before, is I'm in the wrong mode. I've got some questions here. We've got 4. Rachel says, I miss you, Eromie. Look like sunshine. AIS is very lucky to have you. Yes, Rachel, we certainly are. She had a great apprenticeship under Rachel's leadership in the school, which is wonderful. Cheryl's said here to Jesus, what a journey, Eromie. So proud and inspired.
Beautiful. Thank you, Rachel. We do miss you. And Cheryl D. Jesus was the first TA that I worked with when I was a teacher. And I have to say, amazing partnership that we had. Wonderful teacher. And now she's teaching in Australia after doing her master's. So well done, Cheryl.
Oh my goodness, that's. And we've got more though. We've got Flo here and said, I'm going to read them out. So I'm going to humble you a little bit. Flo said, such an inspirational leader. We're lucky to have her as our leader, Flo. That's wonderful. Beautiful. Flo.
Thank you.
Zila adds, hello, Eromie. Please do attend this webinar with you, Zila. That's wonderful as well. If anyone's there, I'm pleased I found those and read those out. We've got Cassandra has got a question here. Let me have a look. Gosh, we've got lots down here. Eromie, you are lovely. How has this is a good one. How has COVID-19 impacted life with the students and teachers at AIS? How has the team adapted to these challenges? That's a good question.
That is a really good question. And I have to say, we always say this, like we said, we had already built great relationships with our teachers. So in 2020, when we had to go into home based learning, and Rachel Symes was leading at this time, and Rachel, you know how hard it was initially when we had to do different things, but the teachers amazed us.
Yeah.
Whenever Rachel sent out an email saying, okay, we are going to have synchronized lessons, this is recorded lessons, this is what you need to do, I give credit to the teachers. They would come back and say, yeah, great, let's try this out. And then after a week, we'll get parents' feedback, we'll get the teachers' feedback, and we were always ready to adapt and change. And the beauty of it is, again, like I said, the teachers, they were amazing educators. They wanted what was best for the children. So I have to say, we've only been in 6 weeks of home based learning in 2020. In 2021, touchwood, we've never been in home based learning. We've been in school, but with strict restrictions. But again, with the supportive staff, nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible when you place the child in the center of everything that you do. So it's credit to our staff. That's the reason that we were able to function even during COVID-19 and during COVID-19.
Yeah, I think well, you've all shown that amazing ability to get on with it. Just for the if there's any new parents watching, we do have safety measures in place. We what we've done is each year group has got their own floor, which we're very blessed with the size and the structure of our buildings. So each floor is locked off where they just have interactions with their floor. So there's not more adults or more children interacting than what's necessary. We've got planned drop-off and pick-up times so people aren't crowded at entries and exits. It's very orderly. People flow beautifully. Can you talk through some other little things that we've got in place just to keep the children safe and lower risk?
Sure. And
Yeah.
again, mask, like our
Yeah.
3 to 4 year olds, they wear the mask and they're quite
Yeah.
responsible about
Yeah.
wearing their mask. Playground visits are rostered to make sure we don't mingle with other classrooms.
Mm.
And then again, with our specialist program, with our Mandarin specialists, we have made sure that they stick to 1 year group. And when it's with our music and PE and library specialist, we have made sure that they only mingle with 1 year group, and then they do. Again, our building is so unique. We have a balcony, so we say balcony lessons. We have invested in microphones where the children are in the classroom and the specialist teacher is outside. So very fortunate to be in a building which is designed with the indoor and outdoor setting, so that the children they're very fortunate to be having all those lessons in such a manner.
Yeah, and you've done such terrific things. I know that the person responsible for the facility, Miss Lisa Jelinek, she does a great job in making sure that there's incredible high levels of cleaning that goes on,
Definitely.
specialist cleaning equipment that they do. They go through and wash and do that, and it is locked down, so there's no staff going between the main campus and the ELP. It is completely, it's like a separate place at the moment, and we just have to have that because that makes good sense. It's not, we'd all love to be a big community again, but it's about lowering risk for the children, and everything we do about it is keeping them safe so when they are there. So I just for parents, very safe environment, very well planned, very well thought out. I've got some more questions here, and they are good ones here. And please excuse my pronunciation. I think it's from Better Shutu, a lovely name. She's asked there, Eromie, may I request you share a little bit more about your philosophy on early literacy, and what are some of your favourite picture books for reading aloud to 5 and 6 year olds? I'm going to jump in first because my favourite's the Gruffalo. If you ever get the story of the Gruffalo, it's my favourite. Oh my God, I'm not a stick. Tell us. All right.
So for me, it will be not a stick, because it's really directed to not. I like this book because the piggy takes a stick and he says, it's not a stick, but what is it? So it really gets the children involved. You're reading the book, but the children really come up with their own version of it. The importance is really having see, when you have an environment that is rich with literacy, you really focus on even when you're reading a book, you really focus on, okay, what is happening here? What's happening in the picture? You are asking the children to be part of the story. It's not just me reading the story, but then again, that the way you swipe your hand, your finger across, making sure the children know the directionality. You're stopping, the way you pronounce the words, the way you really take time to really engage the children in the book. I think that's really important. So I like the pigeon books where Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus. I like that book because I think that's the book that I read every year during book week. And every time the children see me, they say, Don't let the pigeon drive the bus, Miss Romy. So, again, a beautiful way to get together with children and have fun.
I think there is so many gorgeous books, isn't there, that come to mind.
Yes.
I must show you one day, Eromie. I've got a great friend who's a wonderful artist, and I built a beautiful piece of his work, which was Where the Wild Things Are. Have you
Yes.
seen Where the Wild Things Are? And it's got the. I'll bring it in and show you. You'll be very jealous. I might better give you a piece if you could.
Okay.
I've got some some more questions. Cheryl actually, Cheryl, sorry, I'll pronounce your name correctly, has got some bit more. She's got a bit more to what it is. She said, "You're an incredible mentor, and I personally learned so many things from you." But she asked us, "What memorable lessons did you learn from your mentors?" And I think that's a lovely question.
It is Cheryl. Of course, always it's Cheryl who'll ask the difficult question.
No.
Like with Rachel, never give up and have plan A, B, and C, and even have plan Z in place. Because if plan B fails, you have plan C. And she will always tell me, never give up. Yeah, I think it's just being able, and with Adam, like I said, challenging me the whole time. So he challenges himself, that blue sky thinking. I know, Rachel, you're rolling your eyes right now. Sometimes it is that we get caught into doing certain things. But I think it's just being the best version of yourself. Like Andre always says, how do you be the best version of yourself? You put yourself in situations that you're not comfortable with. Like Matt, when you invited me to do this webinar, I was not comfortable. I don't like speaking in front of a camera, but you have to do it. You have to be uncomfortable to grow. So those are a few lessons that I've learned from those amazing people, those beautiful mentors.
That's wonderful that you're thinking like that. I've got one. I'm going to finish off with this one last question because we are at 6 o'clock. But Shanti's asked this one question, and the reason I'm making sure I answer it, she's from Sri Lanka. I don't know whether you know Shanti, and I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, so please forgive me. But can you explain a little bit more on the brainstorm you did with your teachers about the self-regulation?
Yes. So is it I'm thinking it's a triune brain where you have the blue brain, the red brain, and the brown brain. So we always say the balance is between the red brain and the blue brain. Because if we are lethargic and if we are, like, some people who are so calm and quiet, that's when you're really down it. So it's that, so we call it the Thai matrix, where we really find our balance between the blue brain and the brown brain. But what happens is when we get angry, we go into the red brain. We go into that zone of where we can't regulate ourselves. So, but still, we are okay. We are talking, we are trying to explain. But if you go into the brown brain, that's when children freeze. They're not even responding.
Yeah.
So it's really important to know. And I would really encourage Shanti to read about Dr. Stuart Shanker, and it's called Self-Regulation by Dr. Stuart Shanker. He has 3 courses that he offers. It's really good for an educator to really embrace self-regulation, because it's really how you regulate yourself. How do you handle your own stress? Because we need to be calm before we lend our calm. So that's something I would tell you, Shanti.
That is a wonderful one, and it's gosh, I'll quickly put it in there. Is that you did right as the educator. I worked with this beautiful educator back in the UK, this lovely Irish man in a school for children who are challenging behaviour. This is an amazing fact. He said our heart can radiate off energy 15 feet away from our bodies. So our heart, he called it the third brain, the heart, because of its power. And he said that radiates to the children. That aligns what you were just saying then. Once we have got our self-regulation and we're in the right place, then help regulate children. Eromie, I'm going to pause here. I just want to say thank you so much for this evening. You've been an absolute delight, as always, giving so much. And I think what everyone would have found out, this webinar was supposed to be a bit more about you, but you managed to change it. I just let you go with it. I thought I'm not going to try and refocus her back on Eromie. It's not your style. So I think so. Thank you very much for turning up tonight.
Thank you, Matt. And yeah, like I said, you did take me out of my comfort zone, but I really enjoyed chatting with you. And you are one person who encourages me all the time to take risks. So I'm always grateful for that too, Matt. Thank you.
Wonderful. And next to our audience, thank you all for coming along this evening. We do record this. We can send this out if anyone would like some more information or you've got a question. We've got a wonderful admissions team that can organise a visit. I know that we've got a lot of parents. We're getting some wonderful thank yous here, Eromie. I'm going to have to share it with you later because we're running out of time. But Zila, Banta, Kylie, they're all saying, well done, lovely webinar, nice to talk to you. So everyone else, enjoy your evening and thank you very much for joining us here. Take care.